Hi, and welcome to the 2020 Economic Recession and Preparation channel. I'm your host, Tony. Thank you for joining me once again. Please be sure to hit that subscribe button if you're not a subscriber. And if you are, thank you for joining me once again. Today, we want to get right into it. We're going to be talking about a massive budget deficit on Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C. right now. As a matter of fact, the budget deficit for this year is to hit a record $3.3 trillion, according to CNBC.com and MarketWatch.com. Now, they blame this on, of course, the sickness pandemic and also the recession, but really we are headed toward a depression, as you know. The federal budget deficit is projected to hit a record $3.3 trillion. They blame it on huge government spending used to fight the pandemic, and to prop up the economy has added more than $2 trillion to the federal ledger, the Congressional Budget Office said today. Now, this debt will exceed the annual gross domestic product next year, the annual GDP next year, a milestone that will put the United States where it was in the aftermath of World War II, when an accumulated debt exceeded the size of the total economy. Wow. Now, you know, Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin has been the one that has been testifying before the Congress about the pandemic, and he's been the one that's been handing out the helicopter money to these businesses and corporations like candy. And now he's saying that he may have to turn off the faucet, that there'll be no more money coming, but they have to. They have no other choice but to continue to print. The Federal Reserve Bank and the Treasury have no other choice but to continue to print paper monopoly money because the economy is to that point. The spike in the deficit means that the federal debt will continue to grow at an accelerated pace not seen before since the Great Recession of 2008 and 2009. We're not living in a normal economy, folks. We haven't been in a normal economy since 2008, really since 2001, if we really want to be honest with ourselves, where government spending was out of control and reckless policies by both sides, both parties have left us with this huge, unbelievable debt that we cannot pay back anytime soon. The recession has caused a drop in tax revenues that have fallen for cities, states, counties, municipalities, townships. But on top of that, individual income tax collections are running behind 11% last year. Corporate tax collections are down 34%. And the economy basically shut down in the spring so that people can be isolated from this whole sickness. But unfortunately, the sickness only grew worse. And more people. Now we have over 6 million cases in the United States. We lead the world in this sickness pandemic thing that's going on. Now, most economists and experts are not troubled by this huge borrowing. They're not concerned. They're saying when the economy opens back up, things will get better. When everybody gets on board 100%. But how can they not be concerned when we have a $27 trillion national debt, a $3.3 trillion budget deficit, and these states are going to be claiming bankruptcy coming up in the first of the year, 2021. And we have this pandemic, which we know is going to be here for the next 2 or 3 years or more. How can they not be concerned about this? And the thing is, what they're hoping for, usually America in the past has done two things. We know they go to war when they can't, when they're in a recession or a depression, they go to war to try to lift this out. It won't work this time because we just don't have the manpower. We don't have the money, first of all, to finance a war. And we don't have the manpower, and it's just not that type of thing now. China and Russia and others have formed alliances that are way stronger than the United States military could ever be, not just on the physical level, but on a mental level. They're much more smarter, they're much more efficient, and they can live on less. They're used to hard times. In America, we're not used to hard times. We've never had a Chernobyl. We never had an experience. We never had a Serbia or Bosnia experience where these people have experienced extreme hardships, like in Russia and Siberia and Africa. We never had a Darfur, Sudan crisis in America, but that's coming. And that's why we're going to be suffering the worst, because when we can't get things that we're used to having, it's going to be all, breaking loose in the United States at a certain point. So now our debt is going to exceed 100% of GDP in 2021 and set a new record high of 107% in 2021 as far as GDP. Now, and in addition to that, the next item that I want to talk to you about is that the White House says that it may consider a government shutdown at the end of September. Now, the Trump administration said that they're expecting to avoid the shutdown at the end of the month if they cannot come to an agreement over passing a second stimulus bill, but trust me, they will do that because this is an election year. So don't be surprised if we go into a shutdown for a couple of weeks, like 2 weeks, like last time, or maybe 2 weeks or so, 2 or 3 weeks or so, because if they don't get their way, the administration doesn't get their way, then the shutdown is unavoidable, and that will happen, and that will push the economy even deeper into this recession, into this depression. Can you imagine if a shutdown happens, the businesses and things that already were trying to open, now they have to shut down again. That's just going to absolutely just destroy whatever of the economy that we thought we had. And as you know, our president is the bankruptcy master. And so if anything, he's going to, bankrupt us. We're already bankrupt, but he's going to bankrupt us even further, and we're not going to be able to get out of this no matter who gets in office coming up in November. And so, ladies and gentlemen, we have a serious funding situation going on right now, and this budget deficit is not going away, and it's something that is not going to keep us out. And so this next depression is going to be a 12-year depression starting next year. That's when the collapse is going to happen. And in October, you're going to see a big drop in the stock market again. But that's not going to match the big drop in Main Street that we're already going to be seeing in these jobs and in the housing situation, which is going to get even worse when a lot of people are going to be moving to be close to a family, or going to be evicted, or it's just going to be a tremendous mess. And so I encourage you to balance your budget with whatever money that you have saved up, or whatever money you have at home. Keep your budget balanced. This is not the time to go out and buy a new house despite the low rates. It's not the time to go out and buy a new car or to refinance anything. Have you gotten anything in the mail lately from banks and credit unions asking you to refinance your auto loan, or to refinance your boat loan, or your car loan, or your house loan, or anything? Do not do it. It's a trap, because the next plan of this Federal Reserve Bank is, once they're bankrupted everybody, including the country, the top 99%, 1%, then they're going to raise interest rates all of a sudden on everybody, and it's going to mess those who thought they escaped that part. The next part comes in when they raise interest rates, and it's going to be too late. It's going to be too late to get out of it then. So continue to be vigilant, continue to watch your finances in spite what's going on in this world, and get prepared as best you can. And I'll talk to you soon. Have a great day.